Welcome to Life Begins at Midlife. You thought midlife came with a crisis. Nobody told you it came with a choice. The choice to stop shrinking and start living. The choice to put yourself first and not apologize for it. I'm Jackie Bourne, your host, and every week I'm bringing you the real, unfiltered conversations about what midlife looks like when you decide to do it your way. Grab your drink of choice and come on in. So hello and welcome to today's episode of Life Begins at Midlife. Today we've got Heather in the studio with us, and I'd like you to all give her a warm welcome. So Heather, lovely to have you back again. Feels like quite a while since we've last spoken,
I know it feels like a lifetime
and
ago.
lots and lots and lots has changed in your world. So would you like to, tell us a little bit about who you are for those people that haven't heard your previous episode, and for those that have, what's new in your world?
Sure. I'm a coach specializing in human dynamics. So I work with primarily business leaders and CEOs, and I help them understand and recognize the patterns that are influencing their career and relationships. I've been doing this for 10 years now, absolutely love it. But I haven't introduced myself in that way before, not on this podcast anyway, because as we were talking before we sort of hit record, things have evolved. I think, I started out coaching 10 years ago and, we evolve as humans, don't we? We evolve so much. And over the last couple of years, I looked back at how I actually help people. And it really is pattern recognition, ultimately, when I can help people understand that they're not broken, they don't need fixing, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with them. They've just inherited some coding, some conditioning, and their belief system has been built around that. And, they then get into their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s sometimes and go, not really quite sure this is who I am anymore. And then that big question comes around of like, well, who am I? And that's ultimately what I help people understand and figure out, but not from a place of you're broken, you need fixing, that's why you need to work with me, but just from a let's go in with this like total curiosity, figure out the dynamics that are playing out for you. And once they understand it and see it, the relief is just amazing. So once I realized that was really what I do, I'm in the process of building a framework to explain that to people as well and releasing a book hopefully by the end of the year. So it's all moved on quite a lot over the last couple of years.
That's exciting. Yeah, but I agree with you. You get to a certain time in your life, your children had possibly left home. You look at your partner, you think, who's that? Or,
Mm,
you're in a career that you've been in for a while, and you've almost hit that ceiling, that plateau, and you think, is this what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life?
mm.
And you start asking yourself some questions. I know I did. Uh,
Yeah, I so many people do, and I think what's really interesting is I'm working with a client at the moment, and she said something really fascinating. And she says she looks back at all these different periods of her life, and she's like, I thought I was happy, but she realizes now, she's like, all she was trying to do was just tick boxes. Like there was just this tick box in her head subconsciously of the things that she needed to achieve that she thought would bring her happiness. And actually, once she'd done all the things, she got to that point, like you said, that plateau of like, well, I've got the house and the car and the husband and the children and the this and the that and the money and she's like, but I feel empty. She felt more alive before she had any of all of that stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, I see a lot of people that get to that point, and thankfully, I think we live in the world now where it's more acceptable to kind of go, okay, I'm not really sure about any of this, and work with a coach or a therapist or seek healing or whatever it might be, or just even read a self help book or something. But yeah, there are a lot of people, and like I said, even my latest client is in his 60s, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm finally starting to understand myself," and it can take a while, can't it?
absolutely. And I think, social conditioning, we get brought up as youngsters, finish school, go to university, get a qualification, get a job, get married, have kids, do all these things. And yeah, while it might have been the right thing for us at that point in time, it almost feels like we've all been channeled down that little like conveyor belt into
Mhm.
life. And I think, if we all rewound the tapes a little bit and had a look back, so well, if we could have maybe made our own choice, we might have, I don't know, would we have? I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Hindsight's always a good thing, but at least we have the opportunity now to make a different choice if we want to.
And that's a really sort of interesting thing because I I do say to people, there's my whole philosophy is that there is no wrong or right, there is no good or bad, there just is, and our perspective of what is. And I think we can actually end up causing ourselves a lot of emotional pain if we look back on the past and go, oh, I wish I'd done something differently. I, wish this, wish that, because that's just wasted energy, truly, like, because we can't, what's been has been and we can't change it, but we can learn from it. And we absolutely have the choice today, because we only have today. As much as we think we have a future, we have right now, and that's all we have. We can make, like you said, different choices today, which will impact what potentially comes in the future.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's just one of those things that you kind of realize that your past has actually made you who you are today.
Mm. And
Because
well, that's another juicy topic, isn't it? Because again, the people that we work with, and sort of in our world, we can hear that and go, yeah, the past got me to where I am now, and we can see it as a quite empowering thing, and we can go, yeah, do you know what, that was a really tough time, and I've had multiple tough times, and I work with people that have had big T trauma, but they can still kind of go, but do you know what, I can use that experience and that what I learned, and move forward with it. But there are other people, probably the people that we don't get to work with, who very much hold on and go, yeah, all those experiences have made me who I am, which means I can't do anything. Like I'm, they're just trapped in that victim cycle. And it's not to say that they weren't a victim of something at some point, but they've just got trapped in that belief system that that means because of their past, there's no good future ahead of them. And those are the people I'd love to be able to reach, but it's harder, isn't it? Because they just
absolutely,
have that belief system that there's nothing because of their past that's made them who they are, and then that is something that can't change.
yeah. So yeah, but that they just have to deal with a lot that they've been given and accept that
Yeah.
you just feel like you want to just say, come on, just try, just have a look. Have a look, open the door a little bit and have a look inside. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you just wanna put your arm around them, don't you? Like, "Come with me, quick, like, I can show
Yeah,
you
yeah,
these
there's so
can
much better
change."
on the other side, but you've just got to get through that other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the hard bit, isn't it? And I think we're very lucky with the people we work with that have already opened that door and gone, "Okay, don't quite know how to step through it yet," which is why they work with us, but they know that it's possible. It just might take a little bit of time, a little bit of work.
Absolutely. And yeah, sometimes the work isn't what you think it's going to be, but the reward at the end of it is worthwhile.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a really good point as well, that we don't know what the work is. Like, for my own personal journey, I didn't even know what I'd never heard the word mindset until 2015. I'd, worked in corporate and all that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, self-help. All of it was just a completely unknown to me. And I remember my first self-help book that I read was The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Um, and I literally I devoured that book. It was all about sort of getting some, basically getting up early and doing these certain things in the morning. And as a mum of two little kids and, not really knowing what I wanted to do, I just started my business and like what a wedding planning company back then, and read this book, and it just opened something in my head of like, oh, there's a whole other world out there. And that was it. That was the start. 2015. I was like, right, I'm now in it.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes when you do open that door and you step through it, there's no going back.
Oh no.
That's a
No.
good thing though, because you don't want to be going back because
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
worth all the work, all the tears, all the frustration sometimes getting through it. But you look back and think, you know, I'm so
Yeah.
much better off for having put myself, into that
Mm.
situation.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get very, very comfortable being uncomfortable. And it takes so much longer. I think, I look back now, for people that meet me now, they just presume obviously this, that's their perspective of me, is that I am the person I am now. And I'm like, no, that's yeah, that's who I am now. But you should have met me 10 years ago. I was a chronic people pleaser. I was like a little mouse of a woman, and didn't really take care of myself. I was the bottom of my priority list. And yeah, I was a completely different version of myself 10 years ago. But when I say that, I think to myself, my gosh, 10 years, if someone had told me it will take you at least 10 years to get to where you want to go, I'd be like, nah, do you know what? I don't think I can start
Yeah,
there.
no, no, no.
It's too long.
Definitely 10 days, but yeah, I've not got 10 years for
Yeah.
this lot.
Is there like some 5-day fast track to this stuff? Like,
Mm.
but yeah, but once you're in it, like you said, you sort of just peel back these layers, and it gets to a point that, yeah, I think I got to a point maybe a year and a half ago where I was like, okay, I feel pretty stable in this, and I don't necessarily need to be looking for more layers. Layers come to me. The universe goes, by the way, you haven't seen this.
Yeah,
There's this belief you've still got. Um, but it does get to a point as well where you don't have to kind of like actively seek out the healing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Which I
absolutely.
think can happen at the beginning. You kind of go, wow, there's so much to work on. I need to keep looking for
What's
the
next?
next
You almost look
thing.
at this staircase and you just want to get up to the top and you want to get through all those steps as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Now, you're quite happy on the landing and think, well, there's a staircase there, I can kind of see it, but do I
Mm,
have to go up there? Sometimes
mm.
you realize you don't have to heal every single part of yourself.
Yeah, and
Just
I
start
actually
coming up.
think this is I can see a shift in the industry actually a little bit at the moment, because this is my message to people. I'm like, that if your goal is to be quote unquote healed, you're never going to get there, because we're human. And I think unfortunately our industry is in some ways pathologized being human. We see a low mood as depression. We see being slightly worried as anxiety. We see, like, life throws us a curveball, and we just pathologize our reactions to it. Like, we shouldn't ever feel sad or angry or any of those sort of like quote unquote negative emotions. And I'm like, no, that's being human. And I've really come to realize that. I'm like, it's not all rainbows and glitter. It's
Absolutely.
perfectly normal to feel a bit rubbish sometimes. Um, and I don't know whether you're seeing it or whether, the listeners are maybe seeing it as well. This whole anti-optimization movement I'm starting to see coming through, because we've become, especially, people like ourselves, we do take radical responsibility for ourselves and our health and our well-being and all that kind of thing. um but the wellness industry, I saw a stat the other day, I can't remember the exact figures, but it's worth more than big pharma. So the wellness industry is worth more than big pharma, which blows my mind. But I can understand how it's happened, because we've all become obsessed with which supplements we need to take, how many hours sleep, LED red light, and do this and do that. And it's like, my God, it's like a laundry list of things we're apparently needing to do before 6 a.m. in the morning, of course, to become a functioning human being. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm all right. I don't think I need to do like 100 things before I get up, and I don't need to be up at 4 in the morning so that I can see some daylight, which in the UK doesn't happen for most of the years.
I know. Well, one good thing is we'll be able to sleep until 10. We can just say, sorry, I'm not, I've got to wait for daylight
Yeah,
in the winter.
it always
Might
kills
not be as
me.
much fun because we'll know we won't be sleeping then, but winter we could definitely get the hibernation in. It'll be
I
good.
know, exactly. Like, I love it when I see all these gurus who clearly live somewhere like California, and they're like, do this and do that. I'm like, have you lived in this country? Like, in the UK, for most of the time, it's dark and it's cold.
Yeah, we'll be in bed by 3:30 in the middle of winter. We'll be like shutters down.
Exactly. I was like, we're lucky in the winter if we get a few hours of daylight, let alone sunlight.
Absolutely. Well, I think we should go with that. Hey, we should patent that new thing of
Yeah.
hibernation in the UK during winter.
I'm down for it, honestly. Every time I get to January, I think, oh, this is just the worst.
January, February, hey, oh no, that
Mm.
post-Christmas kind of into the new year, that just seems to be really dark and
Yeah,
that's where people struggle a little bit with the SAD as well, hey, during that
for
time.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
And yeah. So as far as your book is concerned, you were saying that's coming out towards the end of the
Mm.
year. That sounds exciting. Will you be
Yeah.
able to let us know when that is up and running? And I can add that to the show notes as well because
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to getting out there. It was really, like, as we were discussing before when we hit record, I just want to help as many people as humanly possible. And, you know, my prices aren't accessible to everyone, and, not everyone wants to work one to one with someone. So if I could just put out a body of information that can actually tangibly help people, because I think, again, there's lots of self-help books which are ultimately just very, very long. I don't know why they need to be so long. I've read so many books where I'm like, this could have been condensed into like 50 pages. So my aim with the book is to have it as short as I possibly can make it, with still distilling all the information, because people are busy. And I want to just help them understand the process that I go through, that they can take themselves through, which is understanding the coding that has been given to them, that they really basically inherited. Um, and how it shows up in their behaviors, how it shows up in their thoughts, and then how they can actually start changing it. Because awareness is great, it's absolutely the first step, but awareness doesn't change anything. You can see the problem, you can see the pattern, you can see the behavior, whether it's an addiction, whether it's the way you speak to people, the way you speak to yourself, whatever it might be. You can see the pattern, but then you just end up stuck with going, okay, well, I understand why I do this, and then you keep doing the negative behavior. So I explain exactly how you can start changing it as well, which I
Okay.
think is the key thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Awareness
just
is one thing, but then, as I say, what do I do next?
yeah, exactly. And I've seen this in my practice as well, like working with people. Sometimes I've had to be very, tough coach with them because they will just come in and they're like, "Oh, well, I can understand, this is why I'm like this because my dad said this and blah blah blah, and then this happened when I was 12." And I'm like, "This is brilliant. We've got the core information here, but you just keep talking about the same thing. So what are we going to do to change it? You can't use that as an excuse. Like, yes, it happened, but if you want something to be different, my clients know I will be like, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you want something different, you got to be something different."
Yeah.
And so that's where I think a lot of people, if they don't work with someone, and to be fair, actually, even if they work with therapists, sometimes they can just end up in a bit of a therapy loop where they just get really good language to explain their behavior, but nothing really changes.
Absolutely.
Um, whereas I've set up a business model that is not great for me, to be fair, because my primary objective is to get my clients finished with me as soon as possible. Because I'm like, I want you to just change your patterns and go and live your life to the fullest, and not be stuck
In
going
a
over everything
continuous
all the
loop. Yeah.
time.
If you find something later on, you know what I mean, another, layer that needs working on, then come back because we can
Yeah,
work on that layer. But, you don't want to get
exactly.
stuck in
I
the.
do think, like, I'm exactly, your thought process is very similar to mine in that, like, heal what needs to be healed, like work on whatever needs to be worked on so that you can go out there and live a great life and just enjoy life, integrate the changes, enjoy, being free from the pattern that you've recognized. And if something else comes up,
Mm.
then we can work on it. But you don't have to go, all right, okay, well, I've worked on that and now I have to stay in this constant healing cycle. I'm like, no, go live, go have some fun.
Go be free.
Yeah, go be free for sure.
And sometimes you think, oh, it's got to be this huge big process once you realize, what the patterns are. Sometimes, but
Mhm.
often it's maybe just a slight little tweak and just reframing a slight bit of language,
Yeah,
and then that just puts you on a completely different trajectory, and you can go in a different direction. Then you
yeah,
just need that support to be able to maintain it to keep yourself going in that. But
yeah.
it's not always this huge big thing that's got to happen.
Absolutely, it really isn't, and I do think that is probably the perception of maybe even some of your listeners, that their problem is too big to solve, or it's too big to start, or they don't even know where to start. But quite often it's like that domino effect, isn't it? You just knock down that one domino, and then it's like, oh, okay, actually knocks down quite a few others. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be this big thing. And sometimes what you might find is that you just become more aware, and then as you become more aware you recognize the patterns quicker. And then exactly like you said, sometimes, I mean, I've definitely had this where I've even recently, I had a moment, I was like, oh my goodness, why am I still thinking about that, and then just stopped. Whereas before, maybe 5 6 years ago, that thought would have just grabbed onto my consciousness and I would have gone down a spiral for hours.
Mm.
Whereas you can just go, no, I'm not doing that today, thank you very much, don't know where you popped out from, and it's gone and it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can happen really, really quickly.
But that just shows you how far you've come in what you've been working through as well. When you get to that situation, and you can notice things like that for yourself and think, oh wow, a few years back I was doing this thing this way, and now the same things come up, but I've been able to to deal with it in a completely different way.
Yeah,
And that's
hugely.
how we realize how far along our path we've actually come.
Mm, I think so, and I don't know whether you've found this, but I do believe the universe sometimes goes, let's just check how far she's come, shall we?
Yeah.
We'll just pop this scenario and see how she reacts to this one.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had that I mean, especially this year, even though, just the last 6 months, where certain things, personal relationships, friendships and romantic relationships and things have come up, and I've, dealt with it, and it's only then I've stepped back and gone, "Wow, I absolutely bossed that situation. That was amazing. I would have normally absolutely been a mess."
Mm. Where are the tissues?
And
That
I'm
kind
like, oh, hang on, I dealt with that really well and really calmly, and I didn't have like some massive visceral emotional reaction. And yeah, and I didn't, go in a spiral of like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? What have I done? So yeah, it is sometimes you have to have these little challenges come back for you to be able to see that you do respond differently. And that's when you're like, okay, the work has been worth it because I'm clearly reacting or responding now in a completely different way.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned that, they use the right words there, reacting versus responding, because
Mm,
there's a very clear difference in the way, our behavior is
yeah,
changing.
100%. And I think we're seeing that so much in the world, aren't we, on the global stage and people reacting and responding. It's why I do try and drill through. It's a very hard concept for people to get, but I do truly believe there is no good or bad, right or wrong. There simply is, and our perspective of what is. And once you can kind of really grasp that, you're able to just take a step back and look at everything, even the worst atrocities in the world. You can step back and go, okay, why is this happening? Like there's a cause, there's a reason
Yes,
because somebody thinks this is a good idea.
yeah,
As much as we might not, there's a reason behind it. And when you can understand again the patterns that we're seeing in the world, the corruption, the devastation, we can go, right, well, I'm not happy with this. I'm not gonna go along with this rule book that is currently being played out. What can I do in my life to
yeah,
make a change, to send out a ripple so that things could start improving?
exactly. And if we all just do our little bit, then that just then magnifies as well across.
Exactly. It really is the ripple effect. And I think I do feel in my bones that people are starting to wake up to this, that we're not powerless. It's not just we have to do what governments say, we have to do what, the powers of control say. Like we do have more power than we realize. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be out protesting or doing something, that what you would seem as grand. It could literally be taking care of your neighbor. It could literally be giving time to your community. It could be, in our line of work, just doing the best job we possibly can to help more people understand their self-worth and their empowerment. And those little ripples just go out. And I think
Absolutely.
that's where the power is.
Yeah. It'll almost be like the gentle revolution rather than the one that, everyone looks at with the, guns blazing and the fires going and all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
which I mean, there's plenty of those going on at the moment.
But the gentle one where it's just kind of like ripples through and you just
Mm,
that's what we need.
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, but yeah, it's been lovely speaking with you today.
Me too.
Catching up with where you're at and what you've been doing, and I'll be putting all the the links and things like that in the show notes. And yeah, thanks very much for giving up your time today.
You're welcome. It's been so much fun. Maybe we'll see where we're at in a few more years.
Absolutely, sounds good. And that's a wrap on another brilliant conversation. I hope it's left you feeling fired up, inspired, and ready to take on whatever this next chapter has in store for you. If you've loved this episode, hit subscribe so you never miss a thing, and share it with a midlife woman in your life who needs to hear it. That's how we build this revolution, one conversation at a time. And if something we talked about today has sparked something in you, come and find me, book an insight call, and let's talk about what's possible for you. Or follow me on Substack where I go even deeper between episodes. Links for everything are in the show notes below. Until next time, remember, life doesn't just begin at 20, it begins again at midlife. See you next week.